I would say for someone who's petite, you would do something more straight. You would do something, less full. For someone who's tall and slim, they can pretty much get away with anything. And then it's just also very much the preference that someone has. Do they want more cover? Do they like off the shoulder? Do they like strapless? It depends on their taste. If you're going with something that is very conservative, your makeup should reflect that. If you're going with something that's a little more out there, you can be more adventurous, you can do a few more fun things. So we always advise the bride to consult with a makeup artist as well, because that has a lot of merits, and you want to look really beautiful on this day.
I think things are going to look a little more subtle in video when you have usually wedding photography is done with a flash, and that's going to make things contrastier. And so I guess before you do the wedding photography, you want to be powdered, and you're going to have to know those little snapshots. Everything's going to be a lot more intense than it is on video.
Hi and welcome. My name is Alberto Mayoro. I'm a national makeup artist and hairstylist. And over the years I have worked with a lot of different brides in helping them achieve that specific look on their wedding day. For the bride, the gown usually becomes her major focus, but on the wedding day, her hair and makeup should be the centerpiece. Your hair and makeup should not distract from your gown, but rather it should actually complement the style of your dress. So whether you decided to do the makeup yourself or hire a professional to do it, I personally find that trying something trendy for that day is not the best thing to do. I like to go with something that's a little bit more classic, simple, and elegant. One of the things that I like to do with my own clients is to book a pre-trial makeup consultation at least a month prior to the actual day. I ask them to wear something in color that's similar to her gown, and also to bring in a picture of her gown if possible. This way we can create the look based on her gown so that it all comes in together and it complements each other. This trial makeup actually allows us both to see what we're trying to achieve so that we don't have any negative surprises on the actual day. Now I'd like to share 4 different bridal looks that are going to complement the style of the gown and pull in a whole look for the specific bride. And within that, I'm going to share some tips for things that you should do and definitely things that you should not do. This is Kim. And as you can tell, the dress that she has selected for her wedding is a little bit more of an elegant, classic type of dress, kind of a reminiscent of a Grace Kelly look. It's working with the hairstyle as well to really pull the whole look together. And also we're going to pull all the makeup together to work with the same style that we're going for, a very elegant, very classic, very clean looking look as well. 2 of the things that I hear the most when it comes to a wedding is they always want makeup that's actually going to last longer throughout the day. One of the key secrets to that is to choose the right foundation so that it can actually stay on throughout the day. And the other thing that they also always ask for is something that will work really well not only during the daytime, but something that can actually veer into the evening look so that they don't necessarily have to touch up their makeup throughout the day. The first thing we are going to apply is her concealer. Concealer, you want to make sure that you use something that's water-based, by the way. You don't want it to be too oily. That includes the foundation as well as the concealer. One of the things you don't want to have to worry about is too much shine on the face for the photographs and things like that. And with the concealer, remember that concealers don't only have to go around the eye area. You can hide anything throughout the face that you feel you want to soften up a little bit. The concealer we chose, we're going to apply it towards the inner rim of the eye, right up against the nose. Whether you choose to do the makeup yourself or you hire somebody to do it, I always like to do brushes. So if you're doing it yourself, try to use a brush so that you can get in as close as possible and not to be pulling the eye area too much. Make sure you use a good lotion or eye cream right underneath so that the concealer slides on really well. You don't want that to be too drying or too harsh throughout the day. As you can tell, I'm applying the concealer around the eye area as well. So this way we ensure that the eyeshadow and the eye look is going to stay on throughout the day. And as I mentioned before, just keep in mind that you don't want the concealer to be too light. Remember that we're trying to conceal and soften the look of the eye. We're not trying to bring attention or highlight it in that way. Look straight ahead. So it does make a difference in the eyes. The tissue of the eye is so thin that it shows a lot of darkness or little small veins throughout the eye area. So again, not only are we softening the look of the eye when it comes to the redness and all of that, but we're also ensuring that the eyeshadow is going to stay on longer, so that you have one less thing to worry about. And now I'm just playing throughout the face to just soften little areas. When we move on to the foundation, keep in mind that you want the foundation to kind of work with the skin. Meaning if you're a little bit on the drier side, you can use something that has a little bit more moisture. But most of the time I would like to use something that's water-based because it wears really well and it doesn't add any more shine to the face. And it keeps the makeup looking really fresh. So the best way to come up with the foundation, I always use two of them to see which one's going to work better with their skin tone. I always try them right here on the jawline so that you can kind of see how it works on the actual face and neck area. Again, remember that you don't want to bring the foundation too low. And obviously, just from looking at that, you can tell which one works better. This is definitely the wrong shade. So we're going to work with this one. All right, so we're going to start applying the foundation. In applying the foundation, you always want to go down or sideways. And again, keep in mind that you do not want to bring it too low into the neck area. This foundation is a matte water-based foundation, so it'll just give a very nice flawless finish to her skin. And as you can tell, I'm applying the foundation with my fingers. The reason for that is I really like to get a feel of the skin, to warm up the skin. I always touch it up a little bit with a sponge at the end, but applying it with my fingers, I find that it works best. I have more control of the foundation that way. So you just put a tiny bit throughout the face and just blend it in really well. It doesn't have to go on heavy. Okay, we're almost finished applying the foundation. I'm going to buff it down with a sponge, and then we're going to apply the powder. Powder is actually very important because it's going to kind of seal the foundation. It's going to make the foundation last longer. And if it's the one thing you do not want to forget to take with you is your powder. Powder is going to be like your best friend. You're going to use it throughout the day to absorb oil, to make the look fresh. So make sure you remember to take your powder. Powder and a lipstick. Those are the two things you don't want to forget. Okay, so with a sponge, I'm just kind of going to go over it. Just kind of set everything. And as you can tell, I'm buffing it. I'm not stretching, I'm not gliding it across the face. Close your eyes. And you apply the powder in the same way as we did with the foundation, sideways or down. And don't be afraid to bring it all the way in through the eye area. You want to make sure that concealer and foundation we put on there does not move. So as you can tell, I really didn't take it anywhere below the jawline. Keep it all in that area. So now we're going to move on to the eye area. Kim has beautiful eyes, so it should be really simple when you apply the makeup. Just again, remember to keep in mind the features. You really have to make them stand out. And obviously, since the focus is all going to be put on the face, we want to make sure that we bring out all her features. We're going to start with the brows. We're going to fill them in so that the eye really stands out even before you put eyeshadow. Very easy when you're applying eyebrow. Just kind of look at the eye and see how it fits. If you lay the brush against the inner bridge of the nose, that's basically where you should start. And again, her brows are great. They're in perfect shape. As far as how far to extend them, if you lay the brush against the orbital bone and you bring it out, that's how far we want to extend it. You could use either a pencil if you're doing it yourself or a powder. I prefer to use powder myself. And the reason for that, it just goes on so much smoother. And it doesn't look like you just painted it on. Try to work with the hair growth. Don't go too much against it. And remember that this is the actual frame of the eye. So again, make sure you do not forget the brows. Okay. So see, that's already bringing out the eye area. And if you keep in mind, right, the arch should be right in the center of the pupil. So if you just lay it right in through the center of the eye, that's basically where her pupil is, and that's basically where you want to create an arch if there isn't one. With Kim, I don't have to worry about that. It's already there. You see the difference between one eye and the other? Another thing we're going to do before we finish with the brows is we're going to use a mascara wand, a clear mascara wand, for two reasons. One of them is to blend the color in a little bit more, and the other one is to keep the brow hair in shape. So the brow gel will work actually really well just to keep the whole look together, keeps the brows in place, and they definitely help open up the eye area. I always like to use a clear one, by the way. I don't like brow gels that have too much color. I like to control the color a little bit more with the actual brush itself. So when I use the brow gel, I try to make sure that it's a clear one. So now that we've actually created the frame for the eye, we're going to go ahead and start filling it in with the colors. So keeping in mind what we talked about at the beginning as far as a complete look, with the dress being so pretty and classic and simple, we want to do the same thing with the look for the eyes. We want to make sure that the eyes really stand out. We're going to choose colors that are very soft. The peaches, the creams, the pinks, and the taupes. Colors that will work really well. And again, make sure that we create enough definition for the eye to make it stand out. The first color is a soft beige color. And we're kind of using it on the base, so we're applying it all over the eye. So keep in mind, as we mentioned earlier, that you want the look to be very fresh and clean. So try to avoid eyeshadows that have too much frost, too much shiny. This color is a little bit more on the matte side. Open your eyes. Good. We're going to use a nice rose peach color to kind of create a little bit of contouring through the eye area. Look straight ahead. Stay right there. And just get a very little color. All you want to do is just kind of open up the eye a little bit more. When applying the color, make sure you start very soft. This way you can build up to where you want it to be. I selected this color, by the way, because her gown has a beautiful sash on the back that's very similar in color to this. So again, to complement each other, and because of the fact that it also complements her eye color. So again, as you can tell, I'm adding color as I go along, just so that I get it to the point where I want it to. And try to blend your color as much as possible. That's one of the key things when it comes to makeup, especially on the eyes. Blend, blend, blend as much as you can. You don't want to necessarily see a beginning or an end in colors. Good. Now we're going to work on the outer corner of the eye, just a tiny bit. And this is a really nice color. It's kind of like a taupey brown color. Look straight ahead. And again, we want a very soft, classic look. We're going to use the same type of color around the eye area to line it. I prefer to use powder just because of the fact that they don't smudge, where pencils tend to smudge a little bit more. And bring it really close to the actual line itself. So you get a softer look, you get the definition that we're looking for, but it's in a softer way. This is also in a powder form. We just changed the color. It's more of a taupey gray, which will work really well with our eye color. You understand? Good. One of my favorite tips that I like to give a bride is to use a white liner pencil on the inner part of the eye area. This is going to help counteract any type of redness. Usually as the day progresses, the bride gets really tired, or even if your eye starts getting a little bit red, this is going to help keep the eye area looking fresh and open. It's going to help open up the eye. So again, you want to put it right on the rim and just kind of slide it across. It makes a big difference. It's one of the things I like to do the best. I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at both eyes, again, one of them just looks whiter, if you will, cleaner. Okay? We're going to apply it over here. And bring it all the way in, from one side to the other. That looks good. Now we're going to apply mascara. Make sure that the mascara that you use is waterproof. You don't want it to be flaking or anything like that. So you want it to stay put. So waterproof mascara is the best way to go. So when you're applying the mascara, waterproof mascara, take out the tube or the brush outside the tube and then just kind of get the excess off. Try not to pump them, by the way. When you pump them, they're trying to get dry, they're trying to flake a lot. So just kind of rub the brush against the inside, take the excess off right on the tube, and apply the mascara. Look down for me. Try to coat both the top and bottom part of the lash. You want to make sure that the mascara looks fresh, especially for your photographs. You don't want it to look too clumpy or too drying. It'll really bring very nice definition to the eye area. It'll make it actually stand out in the photographs. So again, try to get it only on the lashes, don't get it on the skin, so your eye looks fresh and clean. Another thing that I like to do is to get a color mascara and just put a tiny bit on the outside wing part of the eye. Right in through here, right in the lashes, because basically what it's going to do with the lighting, and especially for photographs, is going to give a nice little soft twinkle to the eye, opening it up. You're not necessarily applying it on the whole bed of the lash, you're applying it on the tips. You're kind of winging it. And the color I'm using is kind of like a soft burgundy color, which is going to work really well with the colors that we chose, and also with the color of her eye. And I like this because it gives it a very soft effect without being harsh. With the blush, just be very careful. Again, Kim has a beautiful face, so you don't want to overdo it with the blush. Don't apply way too much in through here. If anything, you want to enhance the actual cheekbone area. So in a very soft way, we're going to feather it in through here. Very light, very soft. I always like to get a tissue, and this way I can get all the excess off and just feather it on very softly. Kind of work it into the hairline. It gives it an appearance of a higher cheekbone as well. But the one thing we don't want to get is to see a strong definition in our cheeks. We don't want the blush to take away from the eye. Okay, we're going to move on to the lips now. Okay, we're going to apply the lip liner first. One tip when it comes to the lip liner, try to choose a color that matches the lipstick as much as possible. And also, in order for the lipstick to stay on, try to fill in the lip. Don't just line it. Try to fill it in. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. I like to start right in the center, so that I can just slide it in and slide it out as far as outer corner of the lip. We're not really correcting anything. She has great lips, so we're just kind of following her lip line. Same thing at the top. I'm going to start right into the center. Okay, so we're going to get a brush. We're going to apply the pencil on the inner bed of the lip. So this way when we apply the lipstick, there will already be a base for the lipstick. The lipstick will adhere more to the lip and it'll stay on better. One of the big mistakes that I notice a lot of brides tend to do is they tend to get a lip liner that's very dark, sometimes 2 to 3 shades darker than the actual lipstick. And the bad thing about that is in the photographs, the only thing you'll see is the lip liner. Remember that you want the definition, but you still want it to be soft. So if you look at it, it already looks like she has lipstick on, but this is all created with the lip liner. Okay, so we're going to apply the lipstick now. And we chose the perfect lipstick for her, which is, again, really important. It's one of the reasons that I like to meet with my clients on a pre-basis as far as doing the makeup, a pre-trial, because this way we choose the perfect lipstick, not only for her face, but for her complete look. The sachet in the back of her dress that I was talking about, this completely matches it. So again, it pulls the whole look in together. So we're applying a soft veil of lipstick. We don't want it to be too heavy. And just to give the lips a little bit more of a fuller color, we're going to leave the center of the lip clear so that we can apply a soft gloss. And that's the only area where you want to apply gloss. Don't put the gloss all over the lip. Remember that you want the lipstick to stay on and you don't want it to be too shiny. So again, the gloss, I'm mixing a soft gold with a pink, and we're going to tap it right in the center. So once we actually have completed the makeup, I like to take a look at the complete picture, the whole canvas, to see if there's anything that we want to add or soften. I always like to add a tiny bit more blush just to give a more finished look. And again, I really haven't added any color to the brush. This is exactly what was on left from the previous application. And then also apply a little bit of powder. Remember the powder that we talked about earlier? We want to make sure that it all stays. So a soft, clear powder on top of everything will just set the makeup in. Try not to overdo it with the powder, by the way. I know that I said that you want to carry it with you for touch-ups. If you overdo it, it's going to make the face look cakey, sometimes harsh, sometimes dried. So very soft, very little. That's the look. So one of the things that I want to point out, especially in regards to the photography for the wedding, is make sure that we choose the right foundation, the foundation that's actually going to blend really well into her skin. It's not going to have any discoloration or any difference between the neck area and the face area. And also choose something that has a little bit of a golden tone to it, because this way it's going to counteract any type of redness that a lot of times photography or even video picks up. It'll just keep the skin looking fresher throughout the day.
Usually when I shoot fashion, I have the makeup artist do one thing, either foundation or eyes or lips, but not everything. And I think that way you have something that feels new and feels a little bit like a fashion moment, but still you're yourself.
As far as hair and veils go, we usually say that, or we see that brides prefer something more simple if they're having a more elaborate gown. And they do something more dramatic, you know, if their gown is more simple. And it's also, you know, it just depends on what does your dress look up here, does it interfere with your hair, you know, you don't want to have too much going on.
This is Jennifer. And the first time that I met Jennifer, she told me that this was her second wedding. And she didn't want all the glitz and everything that she did for the first wedding. So she wanted something that was a little bit more understated and sophisticated. So that's the kind of the motif that we're going to go with everything, including her hair. If you look at it, there is going to be no adornments or anything. This is pretty much it. We wanted to keep it simple, but sophisticated. Okay? Another thing that she also mentioned is the fact that she has more of an oily skin, which is a pretty natural thing. The only thing that I recommend when it comes to oily skin is, again, as we talked about before, let's go with a water-based foundation. Including the concealer should be also water-based. And also, if you're thinking about doing any type of waxing or any type of facial, you know, like a deep pore cleanser or anything like that, do not attempt to do that at least 2 weeks prior to this. Because what you want to do is you want to make sure that your skin is as clear as possible. You do not want any negative effects from the facial or the waxing. Okay? Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to apply primer first, and the reason the primer is just going to soften and even out, neutralize the pigmentation in her skin so that the foundation looks much more pure and clean on her face. And another reason that I'm actually using it on Jennifer is because of the fact that she has the oily skin that she had mentioned. Look up for me. Basically, this is going to help absorb a little bit of the oil, so it's going to keep the skin fresher looking throughout the day. And again, you don't need to apply this everywhere. You just apply it in certain areas where you think it might help a little bit. In this area right in through here, there's a little bit of a darker pigmentation, so that's why we're applying it throughout the eye area. The color that I'm using is kind of like a green color, which works really well with her skin. Don't be afraid of it. When you put your foundation on it, it's not going to, you know, look green or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to apply the foundation first. We actually already chose the foundation on her first visit that she did with me. We picked the colors as far as the foundation and the concealer. They work so well that we're going to go ahead and use those. And again, down and sideways. I'm applying the foundation first this time, and then basically towards the end I'm going to apply a little bit of the concealer to finish the look. As you can tell, the color actually works really well for Jennifer. And just keep in mind again that we're using a water-based foundation, which gives it a nice matte finish. Another thing that I'm going to recommend that she does, especially on the wedding day, is to carry some blotter papers. That actually would help if she does feel like she's getting a little bit oily or the oil is coming through. All you have to do is just get a little bit of blotting paper, just press it onto the skin, and that would help absorb any excess oil. Or as we mentioned earlier too, the powder works really well. I'm putting a little bit of the foundation base on the lid, because again, that's going to act as a base for the eyeshadow, and it'll keep the eyeshadow on longer. And again, the color works really well. There's no discoloration between her neck area and the face. So the jawline blends really well. Okay, let's apply a little bit of concealer against the inner bridge. And as you can tell, I'm blending a little bit of the foundation into the concealer and going right over it. One of the other reasons that I also like to do the concealer this way is that it gives a nice soft lift to the eye on the outside, which will look really great once you actually start applying the eyeshadow. One of the things that we want to be careful with the concealer is we want to make sure that it matches as much as possible. You don't want it too light, especially with the photographs. You don't want the eyes to look too light in the actual photographs. So again, just be very careful in choosing the right shade of concealer for the skin. Okay, we're going to apply the powder. With the powder, I chose a translucent powder. And the only reason for that is if you use something that has color in it, it would probably oxidize on the skin, and it might get either darker or redder or anything like that. The powder that I'm using, again, has no color in it, so it works really well with any skin tone. And again, use very little, don't use a lot. This is going to make the foundation stay on longer and create the perfect canvas for the rest of the look. Okay, we're going to do brows next. And with the brows, we just want to give them a little bit of definition. Remember that it's the perfect shape for the eye. It really is a nice frame for the eye, so fill them in. You don't want to put too much because, as we can see, Jennifer doesn't really need a lot of color in there. And we're going to extend a little bit, again utilizing the orbital bone. It'll make the eye appear larger. I'm using a powder, and it's a nice soft black, kind of like a charcoal black. going to use a little bit of the powder that I had left in the brush just to set them. And we're also going to put a little bit of the brow gel just to set them and keep them in place. Again, remember that a little bit of brow gel actually opens up the eye. Okay, we're going to move on to the eyeshadow. And the first color I'm putting on is a little bit of that highlighter, mostly on the upper brow bone. One of the concerns that Jennifer had mentioned to me was the fact that her eyelids get a little bit oily. So I told her not to worry about it. That's one of the reasons why we put a little bit of the concealer and foundation on the lid. That should prevent that from happening. So just feather on a little bit of the highlighter. And of course with the eyeshadow we want to make sure that there's no shimmer in it. That's one of the things we're trying to prevent, the shiny look on her eyes. Her second color is going to go directly over the eyelid. And it's a beautiful color. It's kind of like a bronzy lavender color. Very soft. I'm going to blend it in, kind of bringing it up towards the actual crease, but not going up too high. As you can tell, her eyes are a little bit more on the wider side, a little bit on the bigger side. So basically by putting the color in this manner, it's going to give it a very soft, sophisticated look. Look at me. This is a little bit of a black, but it's a very soft black, which I just want a tiny bit on the outside. But this is just going to give it a little bit more definition on the outside. Bring more attention to the eye. We're also going to apply a little bit, same color, on the lower part. Look up. And as you can tell, I'm using the powder again versus a pencil. Works really well with her eyes, so it gives it a softer look. And again, because of the fact that she's a little bit more oilier, we want to make sure that we prevent any type of smudging. It'll work much better for photographs. This is the same color that we just put. Just putting a tiny bit on the outside wing of the eye. So I think this is working really well. If you remember, we wanted a very sophisticated but very clean, understated look. So this should work really well for her. Now what I'm just doing is just blending the color a little bit more. As I mentioned, make sure you spend a little bit of time in blending those colors so that they work with you, not against you. We're going to apply mascara now. We're going to do a water base and waterproof mascara. And I'm going to try to apply mostly on the upper part of the lashes. Her lashes are a little bit on the curlier side. So I'm going to kind of try to extend them. So I think this is going to work really well for her photographs for the whole day. The only thing I probably would change for the evening is I probably would just add a little bit of a dark pencil on the outside part of the eye, whether it be a black, look up, or charcoal, just to add a little bit more emphasis on the outside. But for daytime, I think this looks really fresh and clean. We're going to move on to the blush, and with the blush we want to do the exact same thing. We don't want a lot of color, so we want a little bit of emphasis. She has beautiful cheekbones, so just a little bit of color in here gives it a little bit more contour to the face. Talking about contour, we're going to apply a little bit of more color right into the center part of the face, just to kind of give a little bit more definition through the center. But again, you want it really soft. We're going to work on her lips. And as you can tell, she has beautiful lips. They're a little bit more on the fuller side, so what we want to do is we want to work on the inside part of the lip line, just to kind of soften them a little. And as you can tell, I'm starting on the center part and again bringing them out. Her lips are a little bit on the chapped side, so I would recommend, if that happens to you, just kind of put a little bit more moisturizing on the lip area, especially the night before, so that we can soften and moisturize the lip area. We're going to do the same on the upper part, right underneath the lip line. Just going to balance them a little bit more. So now we're going to go ahead and fill in the lip with the actual lip liner. This is going to work really well for her because again, one of her concerns was the fact that her lipstick did not stay on. And again, a little bit on the chapper side as far as her lips, so that's why the lipstick doesn't stay on. So we're going to try something with her that actually works really well. Then we're going to apply her lipstick. And then a little trick that I have, I'm going to apply powder, but not directly over the lips. Her lipstick color. Beautiful shade. The shade is really pretty. It's kind of a brown burgundy color. Very soft. And it's also sheer, so even though the color is a little bit deeper, it's not going to be harsh. So we're going to blot her lips a little. Get the excess color off. And with the same lip brush, we're going to apply a little bit of powder over it. This is going to create a base for the second coating of lipstick that we're going to put on. And you don't need to use a lot, just use very little. So now that we've done that, I'm going back to the lipstick and applying the second coat. And this should take care of her little problem with the lipstick not lasting or staying on. She's going to have a lot of things on her mind, and we want to make sure that lipstick is not one of them. The last step is putting a little bit of the translucent powder over the whole thing, ensuring that the whole look will stay with her for the rest of the day. So let's take a look. I think it looks great. So I think we succeeded in giving Jennifer the look that she was looking for. Again, we wanted something that was understated but very sophisticated, very clean looking. And I think she looks beautiful.
Black and white you can get away with more. You can contour the cheeks. You can do a lot of things that make no sense in color, but they have a nice feel in black and white. So you could be a little bit more extreme in your makeup if you're shooting black and white photography.
Brides ask us a lot about how will it look in pictures, and if it's regarding makeup, we always say, at that point you need something stronger because the camera swallows a lot of it. For the bridal gown, it's usually not a problem, but if you're talking bridesmaids, very often if someone uses light grays or very light pastel colors, they will show up as white. So that is something, if they don't want that look, we always advise against that.
We have Mayumi over here. She chose a dress that's actually very pretty. It's very simple yet chic. And one of the things that she told me that she always does with her own makeup is she likes to focus on her eyes, to really accentuate the eyes and bring them out. Always downplays her lipstick and the rest of the makeup when it comes to the face. And as if you remember when we started talking earlier, how we said that we wanted to be you, for you to feel comfortable within the makeup, but yet the best that you can be for that day. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to really focus on her eyes, give her a very chic, very pretty awesome kind of look for the eyes, and tone everything down when it comes to the blush and lips. We're going to start with a foundation and concealer. Keep in mind, like we talk with foundations, choose something that's a little bit on the soft golden. Okay? One of the big mistakes that we tend to do with Asian skin is we tend to go with colors that have a lot of pink undertones. Let's try to avoid pink. So we're going to start with a concealer. Look up, and again we're going to put it on the inner part of the eye. I'm going to bring it all the way in into the lash because she has a little bit of a purpley thing going on over here. And we want to take away from that. And then we want to blend it. And again, to ensure that the eyeshadow stays on, we're going to bring it on the lid. Bringing it all the way to the top. Another thing that this is doing, if you notice, she has a little bit of a pinkish tone on her lid. This is pretty much going to neutralize that and make the canvas more neutral so that the eyeshadow shows better. But the most important part of this is, again, that the eyeshadow is going to stay on. Remember that we need makeup that's going to last all day. I'm going to use a tiny bit through here, a little bit of red pigmentation right in here. Okay, with the foundation, again we're using a water base, matte finish. And again, it's a soft golden tone, the shade that we chose. It's just really pretty skin, so if anything, the foundation is just gonna kind of even out her skin tone. That's about it. Once we finish with the foundation, we're gonna apply powder to set it. And also, in case that she gets a little bit oily, that's gonna help with that as well. We're going to use translucent again, very little of it. And again, as we mentioned before, try to carry the powder with you. I think it will definitely help you throughout the day. And if you don't want to carry yourself, just have one of your bridesmaids to carry it for you. Put her in charge of telling you if your skin needs a little bit more touch up, if it's a little bit more shiny. And of course, have her carry it for you. So we're going to apply brows. We're going to extend them again. She needs a little extension. But one of the things that I want you to notice is the foundation again. Do you see how even it looks? How neutral? There's no demarcation anywhere. Again, just choose something that's a little bit more on the golden tone, something that's soft. Try to stay away from pink. Okay, we're going to start filling in. We're going with the hairline, not against it. She has beautiful exotic eyes, so I'm telling you, this is just going to help them stand out. So we're really nicely extending it on the outside. Again, she has great eyes, really nice, beautiful arch brows. The only thing with it is that we need to just basically fill them in to make them stand out more. I put powder to set them. So we're going to continue with the eyeliner, and I'm using basically a eyeshadow in a cake form. It's an eyeshadow. You basically wet the brush in order to apply it. So it's still an eyeshadow. We're not using a pencil or anything. We're just wetting it to give it a soft lift on the eye. And again, it's going to stay on really well. We're going to start on the outside, and we're going to give it a soft lift to her eyes. And what you do is you bring it inwards. You want it to be thicker on the outside and softer as you go along. And with her eye, this is perfect because when she looks directly at you, it kind of goes in, so it's not harsh or dramatic or anything like that. Let me see. That looks pretty. So what we're going to do at the end, once we actually finish doing all the eyeshadow, we're going to actually continue with the eyeliner. We're going to put a little bit more on the outside because in order to emphasize the look of her eyes, we're actually going to put some individual lashes on the outer corner of the eye. And therefore at that time, we're going to go again through with the eyeliner to finish the look. First eyeshadow, close your eyes, is a soft gray, which is going really close to the lash. And then just gently start feathering it into the actual body of the eye. Very soft. I'm going to move on to the next color. That's going to kind of go right above this. And this is kind of like a burgundy color. It's actually pretty soft, it's not harsh. And this one's the one that you're going to start blending up. And as you can tell, I haven't added more color than what I started with. Just kind of blending what I put on. So just continue to smudge the color into the upper part, just in a very soft way. It's going to give a really nice different dimension because her eye's a little bit more on the rounder side. So it's going to give it more depth. And at the same time, it's going to give it a really nice chic look. And just like we did before, continue adding color until you're satisfied with the look. And at the top, we're going to put just a basic highlighter, kind of a soft cream color. As you can tell also, the whole look for the eye, it's very matte. And if you remember, we talked about more emphasis, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit more of that charcoal color, and what I want to do is very softly, I want to bring it up, kind of to create a little bit more of a crease. This light, feathery little strokes. And again, just blending it in. And actually at this time what we're going to do is we're going to start putting the individual lashes that we talked about earlier. I'm going to probably put about 3 on the outside. Try not to go too much because you're going to start closing in the eye, which is one of the reasons why I'm not using a full lash all the way around. This way is going to give it a nice soft chic look to the eyes. It's just going to make it more playful for the eye. So this is what individual lashes look like. That's one of the requests I get a lot from brides. They always ask me about lashes and things like that. I myself prefer the individual because they do allow your eye to really speak up and not have it be too harsh with full lashes, which I try to avoid as much as possible. We're going to put the glue and then we're going to go ahead and apply it on the outside part of the eye. Open your eye. Okay, so as you can tell, I added 3 individual lashes on the outside, just to kind of give the eye a little bit more emphasis, kind of give it a soft little wing on the outside. I'm going to go over it with the liner as we spoke before. Go ahead and look down. Open. And open. Good. I'm going to apply mascara now. Again, a waterproof mascara. And you want to apply the mascara over the lashes that we just added so that you basically make them one. Okay, we're going to continue with our blush. And again, the story with the blush is the same we have been keeping. Very soft. Working it in light feathery strokes into the hairline. We're going to continue with our lips. And if you remember, we wanted the lips to be a little bit on the softer side. The only thing that we're going to do here, she has a beautiful lower lip, very nicely defined. We're just going to work a little bit on the upper part to kind of make them more even. And this time we're going to do a little bit of the same thing we've been doing with the lips, but very soft. I don't want to fill in the whole lip. I'm just going to feather the lip liner. But I'm not going to fill in the whole lip. Okay, so we're applying the actual lipstick. It is kind of like a soft sheer color, very translucent. I like the lip color, it's very pretty. I think you'll feel comfortable with it. She was telling me that she doesn't like something that's too heavy on the lips. She always uses some sort of glosses or light colors. So I think this is actually nice because we do bring emphasis to the lip, but we keep the color very soft and sheer that I think it's going to work really quite well. Looks beautiful.
I think the makeup shouldn't overwhelm the individual, and I thought Alberto did a very nice job with the makeup. Just having not seen his work before, you brought out the subject in each one. It was really perfect. It was just sort of a minor improvement that made them it made them shine. It made them glow. It was really elegant, and so I was pretty impressed.
We always say, you know, if it is a strapless gown, for example, it's very easy because you can play around a lot and the veil won't interfere with the gown. If you're doing something that's more covered or has a sleeve or has any sort of detailing going on, you know, at that point a lot of brides will have their hair up. The veil will be less, you know, full, there will be less of it. And a lot of people also love, when they're doing something more sexy, to just do like a little chiffon kind of like layer in their hair where it's not even a real veil. And that's been really big too.
Our next bride, her name is Ella, and she has a little bit of a different situation with the wedding. She actually chose a wedding that's more in the evening, so it's an evening wedding. So we want her makeup to be a little bit more sexy, a little bit more fun, sensual. We're going to be very soft on her eyes. She doesn't wear a lot of color on her eyes. She always likes to play and enhance her lips. She normally wears red lipstick, so we're going to go along the same lines so that again she feels comfortable with what she's wearing for the evening. She has beautiful skin and eyes. So with the eyes, we're just going to use a liner. It's actually going to be in a liquid liner, but very soft. You're not hardly going to see it. And then the colors are going to be very transparent, soft colors. Let's start with our foundation first. Again, water base to help with the oiliness, and also a concealer for her. We're going to start with our concealer. Look up for me. And again, we're bringing it all the way to the top. I think this look is actually going to work really nicely for Ella, because even her dress, she picked a very nice gown. It's a very sexy, sensual gown. So the whole look should work really well for her. Okay, so we're going to start applying the foundation. Foundation is water-based. And we're going to start applying it more towards the center part of the face. Just a little bit more redness in that area. Look up. I like this foundation color, works really well with her. Helping her tone down the redness and through the center part. Makes her skin look much more even. I'm going to take my sponge. I'm going to put a little base on the eye. Just enough to create a nice soft veil of color. And then just buff it. Again, a translucent powder. So we put on a gel just to open up the eye. And now what we're doing is just brushing it in so that we can keep the hairline in place. Open up. Good. We're going to continue with the liner that we spoke about. Very soft. So what you need to do is let the brush and kind of lay it on the bed of the lashes and just bring it across so there's not any strong definition in your eyes. And remember again, we're using eyeshadow. We're just wetting it. Okay? Wetting the brush, I mean, not the eyeshadow. So just lay it on top. Slide it across. So when the actual brush is touching the skin, it's kind of in between the hairline and the skin. Open your eyes. Look that way. Look at me. So again, it just brings nice definition, but it's not harsh at all. And we're going to apply the first highlighter, which If you remember, we're going to keep the eye looking very soft, so the highlight is going on the whole eyelid, top to bottom. We're going to move on to our second color. We're going to use a taupe, but it has a green undertone, so it's a soft taupey green, which we're going to keep right on the lower part of the eye. Open your eye, look down. You don't want to go up too high with it, so keep it closer to the lower lash. Open. And then we're going to finish it with another tone of green. Open your eyes, look straight ahead. But it's just a tiny bit deeper. Keeping the color lower part of the eye, not bringing it into the crease. It's a very soft look for her eyes. I'm going to apply mascara. Look down. I'm also applying mascara on the lower lash, but as you can tell, we didn't apply any powder or liner or anything like that. Concentrate at the top. I found out when our first visit, when we did our first trial of colors, that she's a little bit more on the sensitive side. So I wanted to keep the colors on the eyes to be very soft and very muted, very neutral, so that she doesn't have any problem with that. We're going to follow with the blush, and again the blush keeping the same story, very soft, because when we're finished with her, she's going to have major lips in a very sensual way. We're going to move on to her lips. Relax her lip. We chose a nice red color, but it's kind of like a warm brown red. There's no blue undertone in it. So the reason we chose this type of red is we wanted to tone it down. I mean, she normally wears brighter shades of red, but I definitely wanted to tone it down so that you don't just see lips when she gets her photos back. We're going to fill them in. And keep in mind that what we're using to fill in is still the liner pencil. This is going to help keep her lipstick on longer. And now we're going to put the color. I'm going to get a little bit of the powder that we talked about, and I'm going to put a little bit in the center, just to kind of make the lipstick a little bit more matte, which will work really well for the evening. Smile. Stay right there. Let's see. Good.
I think when you do pictures, you should be, again, you should be yourself. The portraiture I've done, it just feels like things that, people can relate to a lot more in their life, images they've grown up with. I did an engagement portrait recently for two friends of mine. It looked more like an album cover. I had them lying on a rock, and it's just the kind of thing they'll want to show, and they don't feel like, distance from it when they send it around. They're actually excited to send it to the people in their family. And so I think if I haven't done official wedding portraiture, I'm about to for my brother and his fiancée. But again, I don't think I would approach it. I think most people don't relate to the conventional model anymore, but they still want to document the event.
In the end, the bride just really needs to feel comfortable. She needs to love herself in the dress. She needs to feel, you know, I own this dress, I look beautiful. And we just tell her, don't worry about it. You know, it'll be a really fun day, and don't worry about the details, just enjoy it.
Thank you for spending some time with me. Hopefully some of the looks that we have created today will help you create your special days and your special look for your wedding. But one of the things that I would like to leave you with, remember that you want to look like yourself, but you want to look like yourself at your best. So, congratulations and good luck on your wedding day. Bye.